Taoiseach, on Sunday last you took to the airwaves to threaten public sector workers with pay cuts. And last week, at the outset of Croke Park 2 negotiations, the government warned of compulsory redundancies within the public sector. Can I say to you, Taoiseach, that this is not the way to negotiate in good faith? The case for public sector reform is unanswerable and accepted by those in the public and civil service. And equally, the case for tackling at long last the very high, the very excessive pay of a tiny minority at the top and their excessive pensions is now unanswerable. Ministers, special advisors, senior civil servants all need to have their pay cut. And today, again, to add insult to injury, we see reports of former Taoiseach, former ministers, many of whom presided over the economic collapse in this state, on lavish pensions. And the protection afforded to this class of person contrasts very starkly with Minister James Riley's plan to slash the pay and conditions of graduate nurses and midwives. You are tempting these graduates to accept yellow pack jobs and greatly reduced pay rates within the health service. So what happened to equal pay for equal work? The Minister has indicated that he intends to extend this yellow pack strategy scheme to other workers in the health service. So, Taoiseach, public sector reform will not be achieved by driving down wages for those at the bottom. So I want to ask you now, in the course of the negotiation for Croke Park Nua, will you defend pay equity? Will you defend equal pay for work of equal value? And will you finally deal with the issue, the glaring issue, of the tiny minority within the public and civil service who are overpaid and overpensioned?
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach.
I reject your charge of threatening public service workers. You've set out a very clear position here of mandating the Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform and his officials to negotiate with the unions in respect of savings that need to be made in the public sector, amounting to £1 billion extra cumulative between here and 2015. I reject your charge of doing down the opportunity for graduate nurses from trained in this country to work in this country, in hospitals in this country. And the 2-year contract offered outside the framework agreement of ceilings for employment is an opportunity for Irish men and women as trained nurses to work in Irish hospitals at a salary between 22 and 25,000, which is equivalent to what young accountants or teachers would get, to acquire experience and opportunities to build on their training in Irish hospitals, and not to have the prospect of going up. So, for your running down of the quality of graduate nurses in Ireland, I say to you, Deputy McDonald, that's not the way. That is not the way. That is not the way to look at the training of young Irish men and women who complete their graduate classes to be.
McDonald.
Well, Taoiseach, you're no doubt right to say that they are the best trained nurses and midwives in the world. All the more reason to ensure that we have them within our system. Sinn Féin met with representatives of the nurses. And in case you don't know, Taoiseach, and in case your colleagues in government don't know, they are very, very angry with this scheme. They don't see it as some golden opportunity for them to contribute to the health service. They see it as a very cheap tactic to run down their terms and conditions and to run down the profession to which they are committed. They were particularly outraged at the weekend when the Minister for Health suggested that if they weren't happy with the scheme, that they should emigrate or perhaps get a job in a fast food restaurant. So perhaps those are the kinds of choices that you and your government envisage for young, highly qualified people. The position of equal pay for work of equal value is fundamental in any profession or job and must be defended. You're clearly not minded to defend it. I hope that those within the Labour Party might take a different position. You very studiously avoided the core question that I put to you, which was around the issue of high pay. So you can slash the terms and conditions of a graduate nurse, but you'll protect your own back, Taoiseach, and your own excessive salary.
Thank you, Deputy.
You say you're prepared to legislate for pay cuts for low-paid public sector workers, but you refuse consistently to legislate on the issue of runaway pensions, these gilt-edged pensions of former Taoiseach and ministers, some your own former colleagues. So why that contradiction? Surely, if you're to be fair, there has to be fair play all around, and by any standard, young nurses and midwives and indeed the health service are getting a very raw deal from you.